Hi, my name's Dr. Marc Reynolds, but you can call me Marc. I have a doctoral degree in opera stage directing. I've been teaching private voice for over a decade to both commercial and classical vocalists. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Dimash's performance of Mademoiselle Hyde. Comment down below with what your favorite part of the performance was. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Here we go. All right. So many really cool things going on there. Love the song. How cool is that? Hearing him sing this, really, really fun. He obviously gets the drama of it, and his voice does so many interesting things to pull out different colors, different meanings, different styles that capture different feelings. So cool. As always, It's just fun watching him perform and do his thing. He doesn't go down to his knees on this performance. I know, go figure. Usually he does at some point to give us different levels. But regardless, obviously he didn't need to in this performance, and it would have been a little uncomfortable in the tux he was in it as well. He still kept our attention by a lot of variety in both what he's doing performance-wise and what he's doing technique-wise. The voice technique issue I want to talk about today is how our foot position and the position of our knees contributes to how we're breathing and the breath support that we have. First, what I want you to do is I want you to put your feet side by side and your weight equally on both feet, and then lock your knees. Now breathe. Don't try to force the breath anywhere, push it anywhere. Where do you feel that breath going? You're going to feel expansion and stretch right below your rib cage, right here at the top of your stomach here. That's where you're going to feel the most expansion. Now, might you not, because your body is oriented some other way, you're doing something else at the same time? Yes. But usually when our feet are equally planted side by side, our knees are locked, it's going to throw the arch in our back in a way where it's over accentuated. Thus, it's going to make it so our diaphragm that's connected to the bottom of our rib cage there pushes down in the back and pushes our guts forward, which is going to make us feel this feeling as if our stomach is going out in the front and especially high. If that diaphragm is working efficiently and we're using the entire thing and it's going down, our guts should be going straight down into our pelvis. If you imagine that pelvis is a bowl, we should feel that our guts are going straight down into that bowl and we're feeling stretch all the way around the rim of that pelvis. If you'll notice here with Dimash, he goes through a lot of different stances with both his knees and his feet. Here at the start, he starts with his weight equally balanced on both feet and his knees locked. Consequently, that's probably pushing his breath a little high and forward instead of engaging that entire diaphragm. Is that a problem? Not necessarily in this moment, because is he really singing on that voice much? No, it's more in that speech-like area of his voice, and he's got that mic in front of him. And so he's getting a specific color that really doesn't demand a whole lot of vocal support. The cool thing here that you'll notice is when he does go higher or he goes through that passaggio, that area where the voice wants to break sometimes, he does get in a much better stance. Now, what I want you to do is put your weight on one foot for the most part. Balance it out by making sure that the other foot is in position, almost as if your feet are in a T position. And then breathe. Feel where that breath goes. Does it go any lower without having to push it there or press it there? For most people, it does. This T position with our weight on one foot or the other does a few different things. Aesthetically, it's more pleasing. If you think of sculpture and you watch, there's a term called contrapposto, which means that they're putting weight on one foot, not both equally. What this does is gives us a better visual line. Performance-wise, what it does is it lets us be ready to move. If our weight is equally on both feet, go ahead and try it. Put your weight equally on both feet, and without shifting your weight, try to move a foot. Yeah, doesn't work very well. That's when we get the monster step. You realize it feels like we're moving a ton of bricks to move that foot. So to move efficiently, we have to then shift our weight, then move. So if our weight is already on one foot or the other, then we're free to move. This also keeps technically in our voice from less tension creeping in, lets our breath drop easier to where it needs to go, and gets us in a healthier breathing spot. What's cool is when you're watching Dimash is this is exactly what he does when he really has to get more breath support. And by breath support, what we mean is he's really getting that whole diaphragm engaged, the entire thing all the way around the bottom of that rib cage. It's a membrane that separates the organs above the rib cage from the guts down below. When we breathe, that entire diaphragm then, if we're balanced, will engage downward, which then pushes our gut straight down and means we're really getting the biggest bang for our buck out of using that diaphragm. We keep the suspended feeling out and keep this diaphragm engaged in a nice, flexible, easy way, which is what we mean by support. What I don't mean by support is this contraction grabbing in. We don't mean that we're pushing breath out In fact, it's the opposite that we're looking for. But this feeling of suspension, of getting a really full, deep, complete breath, that's the feeling we're looking for when we're talking about breath support. So our foot position, and our knees and their position are really important. And Dimash does a wonderful job displaying the different types. Now, a really seasoned performer can be in just about any position and still get the breath they need to. They know how to adjust and modify their posture and their stance and other things to put themselves in a good position to be able to get the breath they need and sing in a supported way. But for the newer singer, for the less seasoned performer, finding a stance that serves you to get that breath in a way where you don't have to work for it, where it goes there naturally without any effort, beyond getting in the best position and being aware of releasing tension, is helpful. I hope it helps you. The performance thing I want to talk about here actually has nothing to do with Dimash. I know, sad, there's so much to talk about with Dimash, but here there's some really interesting examples of how the background singers, or if you're doing an opera or musical, the chorus members, or other people that are engaged in your performance can either contribute or distract from your performance. They're really important. And in fact, a lot of times it's those people in the background that make or break a performance. They're the ones that let the audience know whether they should believe the performer or not. For example, if you were to go into a restaurant and order food and your waiter recommended a certain dish, but the cook in the back was shaking their head like, nah, or the person in the table next to you was shaking their head like, don't believe them, would that ruin the credibility a little bit? Of course. Same thing here, is if the performers are disengaged, uninterested, and not fully engaged in trying to contribute to the performance, even if we're not aware of them, subconsciously it distracts and detracts from the performance. What's cool here is in the background, some of the background singers are totally into it and doing their thing, both physically and with their voice, and other ones are just kind of doing their thing, totally emotionally disconnected and just going through their paces. Same thing with the orchestra. Some of them are engaged, some of them not engaged at all. It seems like they're just there to pick up their paycheck. The temptation when you're in the background is to think that you're there just for musical support. But anytime someone is watching you and you are visually a part of that performance, what you do with your body language matters. Even if you think you're just in the background and people can't see you very well, it matters. So, whether you're the lead singer or you're the background singer, be aware of what you're doing and what the people around you are doing so that you are contributing to the performance. Be careful, future background singers. You don't want to draw attention away from the main performance, from the main performer. We don't need you to be as expressive, move as much, or be a visual draw for the audience. But instead, if you think, if I am just actively listening and responding, then that's the role you need to play. Unless you are supposed to be the center of attention, which, of course, if that's the case, you're no longer a background singer, but you come into the foreground at least for a moment and become the center of attention, in which case the rules for the lead performer apply to you. What was your favorite part of the performance? My favorite part of the performance was actually tied to my stage director eyes and brain. And that was being drawn to the high drama of the colors and textures that were used. It was white and black. You don't get much more high drama than that. Really white piano, bright hot lights, dark darks, shiny textures with really dark, light absorbent textures. It's high drama. How cool. But in a really formal visual way that still led to this eccentric pop star kind of feeling, even though that they were in tuxedos and with this white concert piano in the background. It still made it really fun and engaging and really fun to watch how they used the lights underneath the stage and the lights around them with such a limited color palette, but still because of the contrast with such high drama. If you want a voice lesson, a performance coaching, or want me to work with your band or group to help you sing easier and perform more consistently at a high level, book a time with me at mrperformingartstudio.com. I look forward to working with you online.